So one thing for me that really lit the fire in my belly to bring so many plants into my home was propagation. What is propagation, you ask? Well, propagation is taking a cutting from a mother plant, a large plant, to produce more of that plant. You're taking a cutting with some sharp shears, placing it in water, watching it develop roots, and then placing it into soil to increase your plant family or to gift that particular new plant to someone you care for. Now, today in this particular chapter, we're gonna talk about the methods of propagation, two of them actually. One, stem cut, the other, tip cut. So let's go make some cuttings. Now, when it comes to starting the propagation process off, you're going to need the right tools. You're gonna need a sharp pair of shears so you can make a clean cut of your plant. You're gonna need a vessel with clear glass so you can allow more light into that vessel, giving you healthier roots. And you're also gonna use lukewarm water for that cutting to go into that vessel. Now, the two methods that we're gonna talk about today are tip and stem cut propagation methods. You might have some plants in your home that will utilize those methods, but I'm gonna show you how to examine that plant to see which method of propagation you would use. Now, our first method that I'll describe is called tip cut propagation, TIP, tip. The best way to understand what types of plants need a tip cut will be looking at the base of that plant. If it has a more tree-like woodier base, it will be propagated via tip cut. Those plants will be your fiddly figs, your ficus audries, your council trees, your rubber trees. I have my wonderful friend here, the rubber tree. So this ficus here and all of your ficus will be tip cut propagated. You can see at the base of this particular ficus, it's woody in texture, woody in color, and the best place to make that cut will be in the transition between the brownish green area up into the green of that branch. So you're gonna take your sharp shears and you're gonna make a nice, let me get in there, you're gonna make a nice 45-degree angle cut. Now, why did I make a 45-degree angle cut? Two reasons. Number one, surface area. The more surface area at the base of that cut, the more room for moisture, air to get pulled into that spot, and also the more room for root development. That's important because in the tip cut propagation method, where you make the cut is where your roots will grow. Once you make that cut, you're then going to take your cutting, you're going to place it in your vessel in that lukewarm water, and you're going to let it sit. You're going to let it marinate. And over time, what's going to happen is that you're going to start to see those beautiful, lovely roots that you've waited for. Now that we've gone through the method of tip cut propagation, I'm going to talk to you about stem cut propagation. Stem cut propagation plants will reveal themselves by having a vine-like look. Vines trailing out of that pot, cascading down, kind of like this golden pothos here. If it has vines, it'll be propagated via stem cut. Now, a stem cut method plant will tell you exactly where to make the cut, just like the tip cut, but in this case, there's an indicator. And on that vine, what you're looking for is the node. N-O-D-E, node. And on this golden pothos, as you can see below every single leaf at the vine, you will find a node. These little bumps here are called nodes. So once you locate a node, you are going to then take your sharp shears and you can make a cut anywhere below that node. So I'm gonna make this cut right here, a nice cut, just like so. And then I'm gonna take my cutting and then make sure I submerge my node into water. And from where that node is submerged in water, I shall see my roots grow. So we showed you stem, we showed you tip. Now I'm gonna show you the process of waiting and developing those roots. Now, when it comes to root development, from your stem cut plants, your roots are gonna grow from the node. And from your tip cut plants, your roots are gonna grow from the base of that cut. So from our pothos here and from our rubber tree there, we're gonna wait, allow those cuttings to marinate in that water. Algae, bacteria might build up. It might turn slightly brown, slightly green. When that happens, you're gonna have to take your vessel, dump out that gross water, clean out your vessel, put fresh water back inside, and then place your cutting back inside. Now, what you have to do is you have to stay patient because some plants might push out a root in a week, maybe 2 weeks. Other plants might not push out a root for about 6 weeks, sometimes 8 weeks. As those roots start to cook up, once they start to grow, that's when we can then take them and transition them into soil. I have cuttings already that have been sitting in water for a while now. I have my vine-like plant and I have my tree-like plant, my rubber tree here and my philodendron Brazil. And as you can see, on my rubber tree, the roots have now grown from the base of the cut. And on my vine plant here, my roots have grown from the node, not from the base of the cut. So I'm gonna actually put this cutting in soil. I'm gonna pot it into a new pot. And the reason I can do that is because the roots have grown a perfect length to now transition it into soil. And the perfect length in roots, I'll say, is anywhere between 4 to 6 inches. Now they can grow longer than 6 inches, but I would never place them into soil if they were shorter than 4. Now, given that I have at least, let's say, 8 inches of roots here, this is a perfect amount of roots to now place into soil. And when I'm ready to do so, I'm gonna ball my root system up in a nice little cluster like so, and I'm gonna make sure I put them in a pot that is 2 inches in diameter, larger than that root system. And I have the perfect pot for that. You can kind of see my root system in the center of that. So now I'm gonna grab some soil and plant my cutting. So the first thing I'm gonna do is drop some soil at the base of that pot. Always remember to cover the first third of that pot with fresh soil. I'm then gonna take my root system, place it in there, get it all into that soil there, as you can see, laid out perfectly there. And then I'm going to apply my top soil over top of my roots. Here we go. Again, be gentle to that cutting. I'm gonna place it in the center there, and I'm going to apply just a bit of pressure just to make sure that it's in there properly, and leave myself at least an inch to a half inch. At least 20% of your pot, the top of it, should be free so that you'll have the ability to water your plant and that water doesn't overflow. It doesn't just have to stop here. Now that I only have this single vine in this pot, if I wanted to maybe give myself something that looked like this, that was more full, that was more lush, I could. From just this single vine, I could take this plant and propagate it again. And now that you know how to make those cuts, you cut below the node. I'm gonna remove this lower leaf here, and now I can place this node into water. I'm gonna squeeze it in right next to this cutting, and over time, that one will develop roots, and then I can place it into this same pot, and then have multiple vines growing out of one single pot. So as we covered tip and stem cut propagation, what you learned today is how to not only increase your plant family, but also how to share your passion of living in a home full of plants.